It is a new year. It is time for another top 25 community list. I've enjoyed these a lot. I've had a lot of fun doing them. It seems like a lot of people enjoy them. So it is time for another one. If you're not familiar with these, though, I've done a horror one, I've done a Christmas one, I've done 80s, I've done 90s. This is a giant list put together by you guys in the community where you make your lists, send them to me. It all gets cobbled together because there's points values, and we come up with a grand final list that represents everyone in the community, and I'm excited for it. Now you might be wondering, what's the theme on this one? Well, the theme this time is the 70s. We've done the 80s, we've done the 90s, now we're going back to the 70s. I actually put out a community poll here on YouTube, and the 70s won on there, and it did really well on my Instagram story. You cobble those two together, and yes, the 1970s is what has been chosen by you guys out there as the next community list. The 1970s is packed with some of the best movies of all time. I cannot wait to see the types of lists people could come up with. I mean, this is a decade that has Exorcist and Jaws and Taxi Driver and Godfather, Star Wars, Halloween, Rocky Horror, Rocky, Eraserhead, Grease. Like, there is so much to the 70s, the variety of movies, the quality of movies. This should be a pretty fantastic list. So now it's time for the rules. I gotta throw this stuff out there because not everyone has done this before. So this is to everyone that is just joining in, or maybe you guys need a refresher because it's been a bit since the last one. These things are a lot of work, so I can't put them too close to each other. But yeah, let's dive into the rules. All right, so the first major change here, and we are making a slight tweak here, is your lists are going to be counted for your top 15 and not top 25. The 70s is, we're talking a 50-year-old decade, and I want younger people to also join in, and I don't want 25 to be too daunting of a number, even though there is more than 25 absolute all-time classics in the 70s. I don't want 25 to be a barrier. I've always put out with all of the past ones, you guys can send less than 25 and the points will adjust, but a lot of people didn't take advantage of it. A lot of people pretty much did either, if I can't do 25, I'm not giving a list. I figure I'm going to take away that little bit of a barrier, and a top 15 seems very, very reasonable for movie fans of all ages to put together. But if you enjoyed doing a top 25, go ahead, do it. 16 through 25 won't count numerically towards the final list. Only the top 15 will count towards the final number. But you can absolutely still put out a top 25, and the final list will still be a top 25. That final stream, the final list, is still going to be 25 movies. The calculations still work out. You'll still get 25 movies. I just want to make this a little less daunting for anyone that's younger or not as experienced with the 70s to still put together a great list. So yes, you want to do 25, go for it, but the top 15 are what's counting. So now you might be wondering, what are you talking about point structure? How is this whole thing coming together? Well, it's simple. You send me your list, and as I said, this is going to be the top 15 that actually count for points. So whatever your top movie, say Jaws is your top movie, Jaws will get 15 points because it's your top movie. And say Texas Chainsaw is in 15th, that will get 1 point because there's a 1 point structure going all the way up the ladder. So the lower something is, the less points it gets. The higher something is, the more you love it, the more points it gets. All of that points gets added together to come up with a grand final list. As I've said, we did this several times before, and it has been a blast. The results have been a lot of fun, so I can't wait to see what you all give as lists, because this should be an awesome final list. So now there is, how do you enter this? How do you get me your lists? Well, watching this video, this thing is fully live, so comment your list down below if you'd like. Right down there in the comments. Give me your top 15. Make it a top 25 if you want. It's perfectly fine. I'd actually love to see it. You can also make a YouTube video. If you're a content creator, you want to make a YouTube video, go for it. If you're on TikTok or Instagram, you could also make Reels or TikToks. I'm on both those platforms. All you have to do is tag me. If you're on Instagram, you could also message me on Instagram. That's perfectly fine. And then there's also timtalkstalkies@gmail.com. You can email me. I may or may not answer you right away. I may not get to it at all in answering, but it doesn't mean your list is not counted. All of the emails, before this whole thing gets calculated, I type in the search and I sort everything and I count every single email, regardless if I've answered your email or not. If you ask a question, I'll answer, but past that, I'm just receiving the list and putting this all together. It's going to be a lot of fun. So you will have several different choices. Make yourself a video, use the other social media platforms to get a hold of me, put on here, or email me. Lots of choices. I just have one stipulation here on making your lists. I've run across this with the past ones, specifically with the 80s and 90s. Ensure what you're putting on your list actually belongs to the 70s. I ran across with the 80s and the 90s, people would accidentally put something that was just a year or two outside of the scope. If it was 80s, they'd put something that happened to be like a 1990 or 91 movie. I can't double check all of this. We're talking hundreds and hundreds of movies coming in. I'm not going through IMDb and checking every single movie if it belongs in that decade. I really need you guys to ensure that you actually put the 70s movies on your list, which 99% of people do. There was only a couple of oddball ones where people put the wrong decades movies included. Most of them were good. So as long as you ensure that you put the 70s on there, you're good. Send me your top 15 and this will be a lot of fun. One of the other changes I'm going to make, we're going to start the stream, and I'm going to get to when that is, but we're going to start the stream with the list, actually the Excel file in the description of the stream, and I'm going to have it password locked. And at the end of the stream, I'm giving out the password. So now we're going to go over the time frame. You're watching this right now. It's live. This has started officially. You can start sending me lists immediately. But you could also, if you want, take your time and work through watching some 70s if you wanted to come up with your list, or take some time to overall put your list together, because this thing will run until February 29th to get me your lists. You have over an entire month to get me lists. Tons of time. I try when I do these things to give you ample time, because putting together a list can be hard. Plus, I want to get as many lists as possible. The more lists, the better the overall community list turns out to be. So yeah, February 29th is the end. And then the live stream, we're going to change it up a little bit this year and bump it to a Friday night. We are going to do Friday, March 8th is the live stream. That is going to be the stream where we're going to break down all of these results. You're going to find out all of the top 25 put together by you guys, and then the Excel will be down below in the description for afterward, and you could check out 26 through whatever the hell, however many movies we get. So I'm super excited. Mark those calendars for March 8th. I'm going to try to get people together for the live stream as I've had with the other ones. I have a full panel of people, and we go over discussing this stuff. Are we shocked? Are we surprised? Are we happy? It's a lot of fun. It's a good time. So I cannot wait. I cannot wait to see everybody's lists. This is going to be a blast. So yeah, start getting those lists in. It's time. It's ready.